What's up, everyone? Just glad to kick here. And today I'm bringing you my Lurantis EX deck profile post pitch black. If you remember back a few months ago, or maybe it's like last year, earlier this year, or maybe late last year, I used to stream when around the time I think Black Boy White Flag came out. I was streaming 12 on TCG live on Twitch for a while, and I played Lurantis, which was a 100 HP Pokemon, is a basic 100 HP basic Pokemon that hit for 20 damage, and when you healed it, it did 120. Pretty much this deck follows the same concept where it's a bigger Pokemon, but if you heal it, it hits harder. So I built it because it's not like fun, and I've had a lot of fun with it on TCG Live recently. And I became Arceus rank with it, and it's really fun. And I've gotten, I think, a 21 streak with the deck before, and it's just a lot of fun. So I'm kind of showing you guys my deck profile since this is probably the complaint for a while, until at least Delta Rain comes out, more than likely. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. First, starting off, we got 4 copies of Fomantis. I love this card a lot. This card is like really pretty. I love Fomantis and Lurantis. Excuse me. What this card does is it's a 70 HP basic Pokemon with the attack Reckless Charge, which does 30 damage to your opponent and 10 damage to yourself. So this is kind of your way of dealing damage to yourself, so you can heal it off. So when you evolve it to Lurantis EX, you can just heal it with like one of the heal cards in the deck, and maybe start swinging for 260, which is pretty cool. So thinking of which, next up we got 3 copies of Lurantis EX. It is a 260 HP Pokemon with its first attack is called Lively Cutter. For 1 energy, it does 60 damage, but if you healed it, it does another 200 damage additionally. So you hit for 260 with this off 1 energy, despite healing it, which is super, like, really good, actually. It, like, one-shots most things. Most, like, basic EXs, like, one-shots them. Or, you know, you can set up the, both moves and hit for, like, most things as well, which is pretty funny. Its type attack, Leaf Guard, which does, requires 1 grass energy or 1 colorless energy. Hits for 140. But it makes it so you take 50 less damage during your opponent's next turn, which makes it so that pretty much you don't get absolutely one-shotted by like most things that have like, they can take like 300 or something. So it helps you like survive a little bit more longer, since against Mega Lucario is kind of like Mega Brave can one-shot you if they don't have the Premium Power Pro. So it's kind of ways of kind of like helping you survive a turn, you know, which is pretty cool to do. And you're probably wondering how you're going to be healing yourself. This is going to be a little awkward. So instead of talking about the rest of the Pokemon in the deck, I'm going to kind of take a little break to kind of talk about the healing cards in the deck really quickly, since that is kind of like the main purpose of the deck is healing. So first up, we have 1 copy of Heroescape, because it's kind of how you're solving most of your turns, is through Heroescaping your Lurantis EX. And kind of sitting on 1 Lurantis. Since most games, I've only really had to survive with like 1 Lurantis, since once I Heroescape it, most people can't knock it out easily. So I just Heroescape it, heal it, and then I survive just the 1 Lurantis. So they'll probably take like some small 1 prizer, maybe a 2 prizer, and then I'll just sit on 1 Lurantis the entire game, which is pretty cool. Speaking of giving Lurantis more HP, you run 2 copies of Growing Grass Energy. It's just a 20 HP bonus. It makes up to 280, but if you have both of them on it, it's up to 300, which is super cool. So you have all 3 of these cards attached to Lurantis. You can have a 400 HP Lurantis, and kind of sit on it for like a couple turns until you win the game, which is super cool. This deck absolutely destroys hide and sneak, since they can't hit hard enough, and I can heal myself. Against Dragapult, it's hit or miss. I've beaten the Dragapult before. I've also beaten the Ethan's Typhlosion before with this deck, which is super cool. This deck does struggle against Escadrille, since Escadrille have a resistance of -30 for Grass type Pokemon, which kind of sucks a little bit, and it hits really hard with the maximum drilling, which kind of sucks for me. But it's not. I don't really see Escadrille being played much, except for playing my locals, so it's gonna suck for me. But it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Next up, we're going to move on to the healing cards in the deck. For healing, we have 2 potions, 2 Shuckle, and 2 Fennel. or for now. So I'll go one by one. So the potions just heal 30 damage from one Pokemon, which is pretty simple and basic. Once Delta Rain comes out, I replace the needs with the Rice Ball, since Rice Ball is better in my opinion. But once that happens, this will replace the Rice Ball. So I think Rice Ball is better. Then we play Shuckle. The Shuckle punishes for its ability. If you have the grass energy attached to it, you can heal 30 damage, I believe. Yeah, you get 30 damage from any one Pokemon. So Shuckle is kind of like our recurring healer for the deck. I was running the originally I was running the SWAT Loon, but then I realized that I can just run Shuckle, and Shuckle is way better. I've seen people run Whimsicott, but I prefer Shuckle since it's a basic Pokemon. I can get off Pokepad, and I don't have to worry about an evolution thing. So I prefer Shuckle. It's just easy to get like E-switch energy off of Tailmaster Ogerpon, and then have Shuckle to sit there healing in the back row. And it heals any Pokemon too, so I can kind of just heal whatever I want to heal, so they're out of range of being knocked out. And then Fino just heals 40 damage from all my Pokemon. So it's kind of like a mass healer, since it heals my entire board, which is kind of cool. But even though it's like pretty small, but it's like it helps a lot in early game situations sometimes, or like late game if I need to get something out of range, like Monkey Dory or something against like Dragapult, which is pretty cool. So we run, 6 healers in the deck? 6 ways to heal in the deck, which is pretty cool. For the rest of the Pokemon, we have 3 Tailmaster Ogerpon as our draw engine, since it's easier to get just to draw cards here, and then switch one of the engines off of it onto either Shuckle or onto Lurantis. Doesn't come up a lot, since I only run 1 E-switch, but it's like, most is in here for the Shuckle, so I can E-switch off Shuckle to get the healing off Shuckle. Then we run 2 Monkey Dory, just to move unnecessary damage over to my opponent, so we can kind of get that extra healing factor. Doesn't need to count as healing, but it makes things so that I can put things in range of being knocked out by Lurantis if I can't knock it out by myself, or so that I can kind of like get myself out of range of being knocked out by Dragapult or any other spray damager. Or the Monkey Dories, and my opponent Monkey Dories mean they have the Monkey Dory back, and everything can't really snipe whatever they want to snipe, which is pretty funny. As for the one-of Pokemon, we have 1 Badoo to item lock, 1 Meowth to search for our supporters, and 1 Pheasantipity to help us draw, even though it doesn't really come up too much since we're not really getting that as often. But yeah, pretty basic lineup. For Pokemon, it's pretty simple and straightforward. You summon Lurantis and hit it really hard. You might be asking yourself, how are we getting damage onto ourselves? That's pretty simple. Run 2 copies of Risky Ruins, which if you're not, don't put down a dark Pokemon onto your bench. You put 2 damage counters on all basic non-dark Pokemon. What I should say. So every time I put like a grass Pokemon down, I take 2 damage off until the Fomantis, and when I evolve it, I can just heal it up and swing for 260 if I wanted to. Comes up sometimes, especially like the early game, if I point out the damage check me, I can have it for that reason, which is pretty cool. For the item cards in the deck, running 4 copies of Butt Cooking Set to help us get our Pokemon and energy cards, and for consistency, so we can find our evolutions, our Fomantises, Shuckles, anything we need for the most part. Sadly, we can't get the growing grass energy since special energy, and it's only basic grass energy, which kind of sucks, but it's whatever. But yeah, it's our draw engine. I always get Pokemon are 2 Buddy Poffins, and most such are Fomantis and most of the way to get Fomantis and the Badoo up the deck if I need to get them out the deck. And then 2 Pokepads for the Shuckles or Monkey Dory, whichever way at the time. Most of the time it's just Shuckle. If you wanted to cut down Monkey Dories, you can cut down Monkey Dory to like 0 and run a 2-2 Whimsicott line if you wanted to, but I don't see why you would do that. Or you run a 2-2 Dunsparce line, which again, I don't really see why you do that since you don't really need draw power in this deck really too much. For our recovery options, I have 2 Night Stretcher to get back energy or any Fomantises or Lurantises that I have to get out of my deck or out of my hand, or they get knocked out, or if I need to go back and Shuckle. 1 Energy Retrieval to get back the grass energies. 1 E-switch for Shuckle. The E-switch in here just is for Shuckle, since I go Tailmaster Overpawn to Tail Dance, and then E-switch onto Shuckle. So I can get the Haley off for Shuckle. 1 Energy Recycler. And then we run 1 Pokegear for consistency to get to our supporters, and then 1 special red card to make sure our opponent gets their hands down to like judge them or whatever. It's kind of like our budget Iono for the most part, which most of the time our opponent doesn't really have 3 cards in their hand. They have 3 prize cards, since we usually win the game after like the first like the 1 or 2 that they take. So red card doesn't really come all that often, but it does for like the late games like Dragon Ball or something. So it helps. For supporters, for our draw, we have 3 lilies. If you want to take out take out the Pokegear, Pokegear, and run a 4th lilies, you could. I personally find 3 to be pretty good for the most part, since I can get everything I need to mostly off of lilies and like the blood cutting set, since I kind of get everything I need from there. So I don't see the need of running 4, but you can run 4 if you wanted to. Next up is 2 petrol to help us get any item cards or supporters we need. So more consistency. Find like our budget cutting sets, our lilies for next turn, our boss dodos for next turn, Crystals for next turn, whatever we need for next turn, or for the immediate turn like stadium cards, whatever. Next up is our energy cards. Bring 1 Crispin and then 1 Hilda. Crispin to get our grass and fight the dark energy of the deck, and Hilda is to get the special energy of the deck. And if I need the special grass energy, and plus also search for Lurantis. Also like helping me look for Pokemon is 1 Brock Scouting. Help me search for either 2 basic Pokemon, being Festivity and Meowth, or I can search for Lurantis. That's all I'm in here for. And then 1 Boss's Orders and 1 Judge. Pretty nice lineup. It's pretty straightforward. You could take out Crispin and run another Boss's Orders. Crispin does come up sometimes, but not all the time, since I only run 2 Dark Energy in the deck. Spoiler alert. But if you wanted to cut Crispin out and put Boss's Orders in, you can, since most of the time Crispin's offline. But I find it to be sometimes it come in handy where I can go Crispin onto both energies onto Lurantis and hit for 140. It comes up, kind of depends on the situation you need and that you find yourself in. So it's up to you. Personal preference. I just like Crispin because it helps stand out the deck a little bit more. As for energy counts, we run 7 basic grass energy and 2 dark energy. Dark energy is for Munkidori or Lurantis, and grass energy is for Lurantis and Shuckle and Tailmaster Overpawn. Like I said before, you can cut the Munkidoris and cut the Munkidori. I cut the 2 dark energies to run a different draw engine, being 2 Dunsparce to the Dunsparce. I personally find Munkidori to be better, since I can kind of move damage around and kind of help me with my knockouts if I'm out of range or whatever, which is pretty fun to do. Most of the time you don't really set up Munkidori that often, since most of the time you don't really need Munkidori. But it does come up against the Jackpot matchup sometimes. Or like your opponent has like 1 Munkidori up, you can set up 2. and kind of outpace them a little bit. Pretty fun. But yeah, a lot I got for the deck profile. The deck's really fun to play. It does take a little bit of like getting used to, but again, I played Maractus back during Black Bolt and White Flare, so I'm kind of used to how a deck like this is supposed to work. So I am in love with this deck. It's such a fun deck to play. People say this deck sucks, but I find it to be really fun to play. It's like a really fun casual deck to play around with and have fun with, since I personally love Lurantis. And I'm hoping that we get a Lilligant EX soon, so that I can play that as well. Or like a Maractus EX, I'll play that as well. But yeah, for now, I have Lurantis is my grass deck for this format. Let me know what you think. I will be doing an updated deck profile soon for my Mega Electros with the new Volcanic. I don't know what the card's called. The new Voltic Energy, along with the new Mega Zero Aura. So look forward to that soon. But yeah, if you test this deck out, let me know what you think of it, because it is my own creation, since no one else plays this deck really. So it's something I came out with on my own for the most part. But yeah, let me know what you think of it, and please remember to like, comment, subscribe, hype the video up, and become a member of the channel. Become a subscriber of the channel, is what I meant to say. and join the Galactic Federation so we reach 500 subscribers and beyond that, and hopefully get monetized and like a play button, because that'd be super cool to get a play button. That'd be honestly really cool. But yeah, that's all I got. So until next time, this is Jackson signing out.